Let's start the lecture today. Now, today is the final lecture, the 15th lecture. Now, in this lecture, we are going to talk about the social grouping and social behavior in higher vertebrates. Social grouping and social behavior in higher vertebrates. You know, so far, what we have learned was the behaviors related to, mostly the behaviors related to individual animals. In this final lecture, we are going to investigate that animals do not live alone, they live in groups. So we are going to learn about the social grouping and the social behavior. When living in a group, they show kind of, interactions among each other. Those are known as social behavior. Now, we discuss the social grouping and social behavior with respect to higher vertebrates. So in this lecture, I'll tell you what is meant by social grouping and social behavior, and the advantages and disadvantages in social grouping. So we are going to learn about two special social behaviors known as territoriality, vasamcharya, vasamrakima, territoriality. And secondly, the dominant hierarchy, pramukata sansreni, dominant hierarchy. So those are the two things that we are going to discuss in detail under social behavior. Now, let me show you some animals. Now, look at these animals in here. I am showing you 6 different animals. Bear. Have you seen bear? Have you seen
Yes,
bear?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Where?
At Yala.
Oh, at Yala. Good. Well, yes. They are kind of a global animal. You know, we have a special bear species in Sri Lanka. And, there are different types of bear. Snow bear, polar bear, a grizzly bear, etc. They are usually distributed in the northern part of the world. And then the second animal is black rhinoceros. Shortened form, we call it the black rhino or just rhino. Thirdly, I'm showing you one of the majestic animals in the animal kingdom, the leopard, barking deer. Miminna kila kiyanne, barking deer, miminna. It's a very small animal, about the size of a small dog. They are kind of nocturnal animals. They're very shy, impossible to locate them in a scrub forest during the daytime. Then red panda, distributed mainly in China, and loris, unahapulua. So even in Sri Lanka, we have loris, particularly in the dry zone of the country. It's a primate. It's again a nocturnal animal. Active only during the night time. During the daytime, they hide among the foliage in trees. Now, all these animals live alone. Not only these animals, there are many animals who live alone. That is to say that these animals live in solitude. A pair, a male and a female, or a mother with a little one, a baby, can be seen only during the breeding season. In all the other times, they are solitary. They live in solitude. But not all animals live in solitude. Like for example, the monkeys, buffaloes, we humans, dogs, foxes, the wolves, they live in groups. Let me show you some group living animals. You see, now all these animals I am showing you, the lions, the buffaloes, now in a single buffalo herd in the savanna, grasslands in Africa, maybe around 5,000 or to 10,000 buffaloes, huge herds. Then deer, in the reindeer, spotted deer. The spotted deer is the deer version that we see in our countries. And then sambar deer. Sambar again go now. When you go to Horton Plains, if there is a chance for you to go in the plains at night, you will see hundreds of sambar deer. And then the birds, elephants, giraffe, zebras, like I said, the hyena, the wolves, they are kind of social animals, so that they live in groups. Now this lion, the group of lions, it consists of a male, a lion, and several females, and the cubs, the babies that are fathered by this lion. Now this entire group is what you call a lion pride, P-R-I-D-E, lion pride, lion pride. Buffalo herd, a herd of deer, a herd of elephants, a herd of giraffes, a flock of birds. Flock, F-L-O-C-K. So you now understand some animals, higher animals live in, some live in solitude, with possible exception for mating and breeding. But most of the other animals live in groups. They are known as social groups. So what is actually a social group? Now in this lecture, we are very much concerned in social groups and social behavior. A social group or a society is an assemblage of animals of the same species that are organized in a corporate manner to hunt, mate, raise their young, and protect each other. A social group is an assemblage of animals of the same species that are organized in a corporate manner to hunt, mate, raise their young, protect each other. That's what you call a social group. සමාජ කණ්ඩායමක් සත්තුන්ගේ සමාජ කණ්ඩායමක් විදිහට හඳුන්වන්නේ දඩයම් කිරීමට ප්‍රජනනයට දෙමාපිය රැකවරණය දැක්වීමට සහ ආරක්ෂාව සඳහා සාමූහික වශයෙන් ක්‍රියා කරන එකම විශේෂයක ජීවීන් කාණ්ඩයක්. Now here we see a group of monkeys. A group of monkeys is called troop, a monkey troop. R-O-O-P, the monkey troop. Now here, these, the bulls, the males. Now, why they are male? That's because they have antlers. Now, these males are fighting each other. Probably they are fighting for a female, right? Now we have a group of koala bear. Where do the koala bears live?
Australia.
Australia, yes. They live in Australia. And now we have a flock of penguins. They are mostly confined to southern hemisphere, southern Antarctic. Now, what you see here in the first photograph, that, one animal, one monkey, grooms another one, whereas the baby is seen, hugging the mother. And apparently this one is the father, and the father, by the way it has placed its, the hands, it appears to us that the father is protecting the mother as well as the baby. Right? You see this one, this is a funny kind of photograph, this group of polar bear. Now, these are the kind of interactions that we can observe in animal groups. Fighting for females, grooming, care for young, etc. So all these behavioral interactions that can be seen among members in a group are known as social behavior. Right? You know what is meant by a social group, and all the interactions that can be observed among the members in a group are known as social behavior. Now, because of group living and because of showing social behavior, the chances for the survival of the particular animal is increased. Now, for example, if these monkeys live in a group, in case if there is, the predatory threat, the entire group can function together and sometimes fight against it. So the predator runs away. That way, the survival of each individual in the troop is guaranteed. And there are some other instances where I told you in the previous lecture, lion pride. In a savanna grassland, they live in savanna grasslands, the lions. That's the place where their prey animals are also living. Now, for example, the giraffes, zebra, antelopes, etc. All of them are living in the same place. Now, the lions are not adapted for a fast run. They cannot run fast, but the body is adapted for jumping, bouncing. In contrast, the prey animals, they have longer legs. That's to say that in the flat grassland, the predator, seeing the predator, those prey animals can run fast. So they very easily outrun. They run faster than the lion. So eventually what happens is that the lion will not be able to catch, a single lion will not be able to catch a prey animal. Therefore, the lions form a kind of a group. Because of the group formation, it is easier that they corner a weak individual from a herd and then kill it, right? So, because of the group formation, their survival is, the lion's survival is increased because they get food. You understand? So both social grouping and social behavior increase the chance of their survival. Now let's very briefly understand the advantages and disadvantages of social grouping. Then the first advantage is, if animals live in a group, it ensures the protection of the entire group from predation. Like I said earlier, if a big herd of buffaloes, consider we have a big herd of buffaloes, if a lion is approaching, it's possible that all the buffaloes in the herd fight against it. So each and every member in the group are protected from the predation. Second one, increased chances for foraging, finding food, rather than living all by itself. If animals form a group, it becomes easier to catch a prey animal, for example, the lion tribe. Then, all the members are, close by. Therefore, there is an increased chance for selecting a proper mate, that's for reproduction. But in a social group, you will learn about that in a little later when we discuss about the territoriality. Excuse me. When we learn about the territoriality and also the dominant hierarchical system, you will learn that, the superior males and the females, they are the only persons who would reproduce, right? The stronger males, the stronger females. So I told you in one of my previous lectures that the strength is an indication of the quality genes. Therefore, if the stronger individuals, only the stronger individuals reproduce, then the better genes would be selected. If that happens, then the bad genes, the inferior genes, would be eliminated, because the animals having the, the less strong, they have bad genes, so they don't get a chance to reproduce. Therefore, those such bad genes would be eliminated from a social group. So those are the advantages. There is an increased protection from predation, foraging, reproduction, selection of superior genes, and elimination of weaker genes from a population if the animals live in groups. But there are disadvantages as well. Everything has an advantage in the world. Similarly, there are disadvantages as well. Now, one disadvantage of grouping is that increased risk of disease contraction. Best example, about 1.5 years ago, the government gave a huge publicity. Don't gather in public places. If you gather in public places, then the chances for you to get COVID-19, that's a kind of a fatal disease, a communicable disease, it's possible that you get that disease. So when the animals live as a group, there is an increased risk of disease contraction. Second disadvantage is that if formed a group, then the group, the size of the group is bigger, isn't it? So if it's bigger, then because of the large size, the group is visible for potential predators. තනිව ඉන්නට වඩා කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නකොට කණ්ඩායම පෙනෙන ගතිය වැඩි. එතකොට සතුරන්ට එම කණ්ඩායම දකින්න එක පහසුයි. ඒ නිසා ඒක අවශ්‍යයි. Then increased competition over food, water and space. Then කෑම සොයා ගැනීම, ජලය ලබා ගැනීම, ඉඩකඩ සඳහා තරඟයක් ඇති වෙනවා. When they are, in little supply. And then finally, increased risk of propagating weaker genes in the population due to inbreeding. So I think I discussed about this thing when I was teaching you biological evolution in the previous semester. Now, for example, now we are social animals, we humans, right? So not like early days, today, the intensity of diabetes in the human society is very high. There are several reasons for that. Of all these reasons, scientists have found that diabetes is also controlled by genes. That is hereditary. Diabetes is yet hereditary. If father or mother has diabetes, then there is a chance that their children also to get diabetes, right? So since now what happens is that perhaps the parental animal is much stronger. However, it has this bad gene that is responsible for diabetes. Then whilst giving a chance for that, superior genes to propagate to the next generation, it is also possible that the bad gene that controls diabetes to pass to the next generation. Therefore, increased risk of propagating weaker genes in the population due to inbreeding. Now, those are the advantages and disadvantages of group living. I told you, while I was conducting the 14th lecture, the lecture 15 is going to be easy, right? Now, these are kind of simple things, but In order to understand this, you have to have a little, background knowledge as well. Okay. Now, let us learn about two very important social behavioral patterns that can be seen in higher animals, particularly in mammals. They are territoriality. Number one, territoriality, vasamcharya. And second one is dominant hierarchy. Pramukata Sanskrit. Okay. Then, ඔයාලා අහලා තියෙනවද වචනයක් පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය කියලා. කියන්නකෝ බලන්න සිංහලෙන් හරි කමන්නේ. උදාහරණයක් විදියට කඩවත පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය, මහරගම පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය, බම්බලපිටි පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය, කොල්ලුපිටි පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය. අහලා තියෙනවද මේ වචන?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good. Now, is it now well? Can the Kadavata police Pala Pradesh control the activities in Ragama police Pala Pradesh?
No, sir.
No, it's difficult. Similarly, Vidyatama Ragama police Pala Pradesh, ITA Pradesh, police Tane Magin, Kadavata Pradesh, Katitpalne Karanda. Bala Pradesh ගැන තමයි අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. ඔන්න බල ප්‍රදේශයට තමයි කියන්නේ territory එකක් කියලා. Simply you can say, කඩවත police territory. රාගම police territory. බල ප්‍රදේශයක් ගැන කතා කරන්නේ. ප්‍රදේශයක් ගැන කතා. Right? Now when you consider the University of Kelaniya, now there is a high ranking person in this university. Can you name that person? He or she? Can you?
Chancellor.
Yeah, actually, chancellor is a kind of a ceremonial post, but one who controls the activities in the university is the vice chancellor, Professor Nilanthi de Silva, right? Vice chancellor. Now, how many faculties in our university? We have our science faculty, we have commerce and management faculty, we have social science faculty, we have medical faculty, we have technology and science and technology faculty, then we have humanities faculty, right? Likewise, we have several faculties. Now, each faculty is inside the university, there are several faculties and there is a faculty head. Now, who is that faculty head? What do you call him?
The dean.
The dean, yes. So our dean, now we have a dean in the faculty. Now, dean is the person who controls the activities inside the science faculty. Now, there are several departments in the science faculty. Now, for example, Department of Botany and Molecular Biology, Department of Chemistry, Department of Zoology and Environment Management. That's our department, right? Department of Physics, Department of Microbiology, Department of Industrial Medicine. Likewise, there are several departments. Now, all these departments are under the dean. Now, each department is run by a person. Now, who is that person?
Head of the department.
Head of the department. Okay. Then, මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් දකින්නයි නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝනේ. උඩම ඉන්නේ කවුද? Vice Chancellor. එයා යටතේ ඉන්නේ කවුද? Deans ලා ඉන්නවනේ. Dean ලා යටතේ ඉන්නේ කවුද? එක එක heads ලා ඉන්නවා. ඒතර head යටතේ ඉන්නවා staff එකේ සෙසු පිරිස්. Academic members, non-academic members. Then, හිතන්නකො මම කියලා once I was a head in the department, that's a different matter. Can I do the jobs of the vice chancellor?
No, sir.
No. But perhaps the vice chancellor can control my activities. Vice chancellor can control the activities of the heads. Vice chancellor can control all the activities of the deans. Now, likewise, there is a arrangement of individuals in our human society. our governing system is also the same. We have the president, the prime minister, as in cabinet ministers. Then the state ministers. Then under them the parliament ministers. Parliament mantri line member of MPs, member of parliaments. So likewise, there we have a arrangement. Even in police station, there is a ranking order. The inspector, police sthane. ඊට පස්සේ sub inspectors ලා ඉන්නවා. දැන් එම දැන් කඩවත පොලිසිය ඊට පස්සේ කිරිබත්ගොඩ පොලිසිය ඔය විදිහට මේ ඔක්කොම පොලිසි පාලනය කරන්නේ ගම්පහ පොලිස් මූලස්ථානය. ඒ විදිහටම කල්තර පොලිස් මූලස්ථාන, කොළඹ පොලිස් මූලස්ථාන ඔහොම කියලා. ඒව ඔක්කොම පාලනය කරන්නේ පොලිස් චීෆ්. කවුද එක්කෙනාට කියන්නේ මේ මොකක්ද එක්කෙනාට කියන්නේ පොලිස් ලොක්කට කියන්නේ කවුද? පොලිස්පති. හරිද? ඔහොම තමයි ඒක සකස් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේගොල්ලෝ තමන්ගේ බලය අනුව රෑන්ක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. අන්න එහෙම දේවල් තමයි අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. ටෙරිටෝරියැලිටි එක සහ ඩොමිනන්ට් හයරාචි කියන. ඩොමිනන්ට් හයරාචි කියන්නේ ප්‍රමුඛතා සංස්කෘතිය. Now the organization in the university is a kind of a dominant hierarchy. Territoriality is defending an area. Power vested upon a certain area. That is what you call territoriality. ඔන්නෝයි මූලික අදහස ඇතුව අපි ටිකක් බලමු මේ territoriality සහ dominant hierarchy කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. Okay, let's talk about the territorial behavior. Okay. Before you read these things, just focus your attention on this particular diagram as well as the photograph of the bird. Now, this particular bird is a resident species in England. It's known as the song thrush bird. Song thrush bird. Song thrush bird. So, now during the breeding season, in a flock of birds, the males usually defend a particular area. They guard a certain area in its general habitat. Now, for example, this area, demarcated by this red line. Now, this is the area that is guarded by one bird, one song thrush bird. And this area in its general habitat is the small area guarded by another animal, bird. So likewise, in this diagrammatic representation, there are 8 such areas. Now, each area is guarded and defended by a single individual, and that area is what we call a territory. Territory. Now, these territories are established only for breeding season. And after the breeding season, they stop guarding this area, breeding territories. Now, we have, 8 different breeding territories in this particular English habitat, the habitat in England, right? Now, what happens? Let's consider the territory holder in this big territory, right? Now, it will prevent any other song thrush bird coming into its, area. If a bird, another, bird happens to come, the owner here, the owner will, aggressively peck at it. Kotala panna. Avot pannana. Avot. හැබැයි එන්න කලින් මෙයා මේ තමන්ගේ බල ප්‍රදේශයේ ගස්වල ගස් තියෙනනේ ගස්වල අත්තෙන් අත්තට පැනලා ලස්සන සින්දු කීකියා ඒගොල්ලෝ එහාට මෙහාට හැමතිස්සෙම ඉගිල්ලා යනවා අත්තෙන් අත්තට පනිනවා අත්තෙන් අත්තට ඉගිලෙනවා තමන්ගේ බල ප්‍රදේශයේ but they don't fly into the outside area. So this is to say that this particular territory is guarded by this song thrush bird from the intrusion of other members of its own species. තමන්ගේම විශේෂයේ සෙසු සමාජිකයන් විශේෂයෙන්ම මේක ගාඩ් කරන්නේ පිරිමි සතෙක් නම් සෙසු පිරිමි සතුන්ගේ ආගමනයෙන් වළක්වන්න මේ අය යම් බල ප්‍රදේශයක් නඩත්තු කරනවා. ඒ නඩත්තු කරන බල ප්‍රදේශය තමයි කියන්නේ ටෙරිටරි එක. එතකොට මේ ටෙරිටරි එක අනික් කටෙන් ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස් කරන්නේ. මේක මගේ බල ප්‍රදේශය කියලා කියන්නේ මේ කට්ටිය විවිධාකාර හැසිරීම් රටා දක්වනවා. Now in this case it sings and then it flies from branch to branch to show the boundary to the others. Now all such behaviors are known as territorial behavior. හරිද? මේ උදාහරණයේ තියෙන මේකට breeding season එකේදී විතරයි මේක කරන්නේ. So these are breeding territories. Some animals guard areas for feeding, or some animals guard areas for just sleeping, right? Therefore, considering all these things, we can give a definition for territory. Territory is the area defended by an animal for the purpose of mating, nesting, roosting, or feeding. හරිද? ප්‍රජනනය සඳහා, කෝඩු තැනීම සඳහා, තනිදා ගැනීම හෝ ආහාර ගැනීම සඳහා යම් කිසි සතෙකු ගාඩ් කරගන්න ප්‍රදේශය තමයි හඳුන්වන්නේ ටෙරිටරි එක. The defense of a territory is known as the territoriality or territorial defense. මේක defend කරනවා තමයි කියන්නේ territorial. So the behavioral methods by which an animal protects its territory from incursions by others of its species is known as the territorial behavior. Territorial behavior. So with this understanding, let us learn about the territorial behavior of a particular deer species, an antelope species in Africa. Okay, now the reason why we study this territorial behavior in this particular African species is it is widely studied by many behavioral ecologists. And this particular species is known as the Uganda kob. Uganda kob. Let me show you where the Uganda kob lives and how it appears. Okay, now this is a Uganda kob, a male. Now it lives in Uganda. Now Uganda is shown in this orange color. Then Sudan, the one in green color, and Congo. Those are the areas where this species is distributed in the Africa. Okay, let's simply say that it is seen in Central Africa. Africa, the Central Africa. Now, there is a sexual dimorphism between the males and the females. Now, for example, the males are bigger than the females, and the males have 2 horns. They are group living animals. That's to say, they are social animals, right? Now, during the non-breeding season, now they live in groups. Group නේද? ඉතින් මේ කට්ටිය මේ ග්‍රාස්ලන්ඩ්ස් වල ඉන්නේ උදේ ඉඳලා රෑ වෙනකම් කනවා මේ කට්ටිය. මොනවද කන්නේ? තනකොළ. පොඩි පඳුරු වල එහෙම කොළ කකා ඉන්නේ. So by the end of the breeding season, they are really fat. අර වෙලා ඉන්නේ හොඳට. Right? So with the onset of the breeding season, ප්‍රජනක කාලේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සත්තුන් මේවයි කට්ටියන් ප්‍රජනක කාලේ පටන් ගන්නෙ වැහි කාලෙට මාස 5ක් 6ක් විතර කලින්. ඒ කියන්නේ dry season එකේ. ඒකටත් හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. මේ හේතුව තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එහෙම තමයි සත්තුන්ගේ. මොකද වැහි කාලෙට තමයි ගස්වල මල්, පළතුරු, කොළ එහෙම බහුල. ඒතකොට පැටියා ඉපදෙන්නේ ඉපදුනොත් එම මල්, කොළ, පළතුරු, වතුර බහුල කාලේ ඒක පැටියගේ ආරක්ෂාවට හොඳයි. පැටියා මව කුසේ වැඩෙන්නත් එපා. ඒ නිසා බහිකාලයට මාස කිහිපයකට කලින් තමයි ප්‍රජනනය කරන්නේ. Breeding season එක තියෙන්නේ. That is actually during the dry season, right? So with the onset of the breeding season, what happens is that the males, they stop eating. By this time they are fat and strong. Now the males, they fight with each other for a particular piece of land. What you're witnessing in this photograph is, there are two males, engaged in a head-on fight. There is always a winner, a loser, right? So the winner gets the area in this small area in this habitat, and the loser, flees away. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, good. So next I will show you territories in a particular African habitat, grassland, established by these antelopes. These are known as the Uganda corps. That's reason is that they are mainly seen in Uganda. Here it is. Now these dotted areas, you don't see these, broken lines. These are the, the rivers. We have two branches of river. Between the two rivers, the area branches අතරමැද තියෙනවා බොහොම සරුසාර පැත්තක්. මෙන්න මේ ගඟෙන් සීමා වෙලා තියෙන ඉන්න හතුරන්ට එහෙම මෙහාට එන්න ටිකක් අමාරුයි, දුෂ්කරයි. Right? Okay. Now these are the territories guarded by the male Uganda corps. Male Uganda corps. You see, now consider this big area. Now this is a territory. Now the territory owner is indicated by the black dot inside it. So one territory owner, there is another territory owner, third territory owner, the fourth, fifth, likewise. There are so many different territories. Now you see, as indicated in this diagram, there are bigger territories as well as smaller territories. Now usually those smaller territories are resourceful, right? They are usually located in the center of all these territories. You see here, somewhere here, there are very small areas. So it is difficult actually to graphically show territories here. They are the best territories, the choicest central territories, they are saying. The best or the choicest central territories. But these outside territories are not as best as these central territories. Now this assortment or the collection of all these territories in this piece of land is what you call a lek. Lek එකක් කියලා තමයි මේ territory සමූහයට කියන්නේ. Lek of the Uganda corps. See, a lek is an aggregation of breeding territories and provides no other resources except access to females. මම පොඩි කතන්දරයක් දැන් කියනවා. දැන් මේ territories defend කරන්නේ කවුද? Can you give me an answer?
Male animals.
Yeah, males. So while the males are fighting, where are the females? Where are the girls? Now the boys are fighting for a place. The boys are fighting. Now the question is, where are the girls? In order to understand that, well, let's move into the next slide. Well, look at this. Now, these choices, the best central territories in the lake, are owned by the strongest, the largest, and the most experienced males. The best territories are defended by the strongest, the largest, and the most experienced males. Shaktimatma, Vishalatama, Saha, Addekim Bahula. Again, Megulanda meet the Kaling Prajanaka Samayaval, Kipya, Paukaraganavilati. So they are experienced now. They know what to do, right? Perhaps they have learned it from the others, or it came from their own genetic structure, right? Now they are very much experienced in territorial defense. They know what the territory is. They know the importance of defending an area and how it should be defended from the intuition of the other members in the other males in the group, right? Now, compared to these central territories, these peripheral territories, they are not that good. So those kind of bad territories are guarded by, the inferior males. Shaktiyen adu punchi evagema pera satan echarama purudu nati me අයියලට ටික තමයි මේ වටේ ඒ වෙන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඉන්නේ. Now there are some individuals, some males who don't actually guard the territory, right? The strongest individuals, hold the best territories, the not that good territories are defended by somewhat, inferior males, but there are other males in the herd who actually do not hold any territory, right? Now, those are the very young males, very young, who do not have any experience in territorial defense. Perhaps they are less than 1 year old, and since they are young, they are weak, or very old individuals. The old, they are the feeble individuals. Feeble, durvalai, vayasai. So they cannot fight. They know how to fight, but there is no proper strength for fighting, right? So those young and weak or very old individuals hold territory. Now that's the story about the males. So the best territories are occupied by the strongest males, and other territories are occupied by less stronger and inferior males. And there are other males who are very young or disabled. වයස නාකිමුවාලා මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ වසම් රකින්නේ නැහැ. හරි. So while all these things, what is the story with the girls, right? Now the girls are shown in red dots here, right? The girls are shown in red dots, right? What you see is that these girls, the females, are concentrated around the best territories, isn't it? Don't you see this?
Yes, sir.
ගෑනු කට්ටිය මේ රෙඩ් ඩොට්ස් නෑ. රෙඩ් ඩොට් එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ගෑනු සතු. කොළ පාට ඩොට් කියලා කියන්නේ අබල දුබලියෝ. අනික් මේ වටේ පිටේ ටෙරිටරිස් මේ කළු තිත් වලින් පෙන්නන්නේ. දැන් එව්වවලත් නෑ. එතකොට පොඩි නොගැලපිල්ලක් මෙතන තියෙනවා කියලා තේරෙයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට. The strongest females are, usually centered around the central better territories that are guarded by the strongest males. Whereas you don't see the females in association with these worst territories. Right? Good. Now the females. Let's focus on the females. These females mate only with the territory holding male. That is to say that these females do not, mate with these green dots. How the green dots scale again? Who are the green dots?
Very
Very old.
Yeah, very old, very young, and feeble individuals. Okay, let me show you what's happening in here. Now, imagine this is the grassland area. Now we have one Uganda kob male. Now this white dotted area is its territory. What you see is that in this territory, there are several females. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you see this male is seen mating with a female. So after this, perhaps it will mate with the other female and the other female and the other female and the other female. One male, 5 females. What is this condition? Monogamy or polyandry? Polygyny. What is it?
Polygyny.
Polygyny. So this is a polygynous situation. You see the stronger male, the strongest perhaps, right, occupies a small territory, but you know, among the females, there is again a competition among them to approach, to go into this best territory. That is to make best territory. So if they happen to go there, you know, those females would get a chance to mate with this male in here. Okay, so what you understand is that the females mate only with the territory holding male, and that again with males on central territories. You know, see here the largest, see the largest and the most experienced females mate with the strongest, largest and the most experienced males in this central territory. Can you see it in here? So a strong polygynous mating system is established. So this way, you see, you now understand this male can pass its genes to the next generation through this female. The female it is mating with now. And then with the second female, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, right? So this way the male can increase its dominant fitness. Can you notice it in here? Do you understand it in here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. But on the other hand, what happens is that the males that occupy in the peripheral territories, outside territories, right? They rarely get a chance to mate during a particular breeding season. අර නංගිල ටික ඔක්කොම හිටිය අර මේ ශක්තිමත්ම කට්ටිය ළඟ. හරි? අර ඇහි ඔය නිකන් අන්තිමේට යන නිකන් කකුලක් කැඩිච්ච නැත්නම් හැක් වපර ගෑනු ළමෙක් එක තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ට සමහර ලාට ප්‍රජනනය කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ. But those chances are also very low, right? And since the females, you know, mate only with the territory holding male, right? You know, the males who do not hold a territory never get the chance to mate. You understand this? Good. So that is how the territorial behavior in Uganda goes. Now, what we learned was a territory defended by the cobs, the males, during a particular breeding season. Now that is a breeding territory. Now, not all the territories or not all the areas guarded by animals are for breeding. There are roosting territories. Roosting territories are actually the places a group of animals guard to sleep. Now, for example, a cave. Now, inside the cave, there are lots of bats. Now, the bats collectively they guard that particular cave from the intrusion of other bats, right? And there are also feeding territories. the purpose of a feeding territory is solely for the purpose of foraging, right? Then what are the advantages of, what are the ways, how do the animals advertise their territory? How do these animals defend their territories? There are various methods. Now, for example, scent making. Now, for example, the leopards also, they defend territories. Now, what they do is that around the territory margin, at some designated places, they urinate, defecate, and the feces is covered half by soil, right? Or sometimes some animals, apply their body secretions, the pheromones, along the boundary. Now, all these things are what you call the scent marking. Unfortunately, scent marking was not seen in Uganda cow. Uganda cow, the territory defense is done by visual signals, auditory signals. Some visual signals, some animals adopt in order to advertise their territories are, number one, scratching the tree barks at the boundary and ground patrolling around the boundary. Those are the things that animals do. What they have in ඉතින් දකින්න කට්ටිය හිතනවා අතුලට යන එක ටිකක් භයානකයි අර මේක මොකද මේක වෙනින් එක්කෙනෙක්. දැන් ඔක මම කලින්ම මුල්ම දවසේ කියන්නද ලෙක්චර් එකකදී බල්ලෝ තමන්ගේ ජීවත් වෙන ගෙවල් සීමාවේ වටේ ලාම්පු ලයිට් කණු වලට කම්බි කණු වලට එම් සූදානවා. That is actually advertising. The dog is advertising its territory to others, other dogs, right? Then auditory signals. They make some vocalization. Now, for example, the leopards, they go into a kind of an elevated place inside its territory and then they roar. Sometimes the birds sing and ritualized aggression. Those are the ritualized aggression. Those are shown to intimidate the intruder, or if all the above, fails, they attack. So those are the ways through which animals advertise and the ways through which they defend their territories. Let's learn about the next social pattern, that's dominant hierarchy. Now, what you are witnessing is a pack of wolves. Urkan කණ්ඩායමකට කියන්නේ pack එකක් කියලා. group එකක් කියලා එහෙම එක විශේෂ වචන තියෙනවා. දැන් a flock of bird, lion pride. එහෙම වගේ මේකට pack of grey wolves. Now, here in this pack of grey wolves, there is always a dominant wolf. And that one is known as the alpha wolf, alpha, the dominant. Under it, there are several subdominants known as the beta wolves. Under the beta wolves, there are other, delta wolves, many. And all these things, there are omega wolves. Make omega name, omega wolves. Right now, the highest privileged individual in this pack is the alpha wolf. The least privileged individuals, or the poor, the less stronger individuals, are those gamma wolves. Omega wolves. So what you see is that animals, rather than defending a territory, they are known as, they don't defend territories, these animals, they are non-territorial animals. These non-territorial animals, they form a social structure in which a linear or nearly linear ranking exists, with each animal dominant over those below it and submissive to those above it in the hierarchy. And alpha wolf එරෙහිව යන්න කාටවත් බෑ. හැබැයි එයාට පුළුවන් මේ හැම කෙනෙක් මතම තමන්ගේ ආධිපත්‍ය පතුරවන්න. බීටා වුල්ෆ්ට ඇල්ෆා වුල්ෆ් අදුමා යන්න බෑ. හැබැයි එයාට පුළුවන් බීටා වුල්ෆ් යටින් තියෙන හැම කෙනෙක්ටම ආධිපත්‍ය පතුරවන්න. මෙන්න මෙහෙම රැන්කින් ඔබ එකක්. Now usually the alpha wolf will get, it's the highest privileged animal in the sense that it gets the lots of breeding chances, mating chances, the highest privileged and than the beta wolves. You know, the fewer, perhaps the least breeding chances would be experienced by these lowest ranking individuals. So this is actually the kind of dominant hierarchy. It's the dominant hierarchy. We have dominant hierarchy. The baboons, the monkeys, you know, the elephant seals. When you come to the final year, we'll discuss about these things in detail. So this is how the animals behave, you know, the social behaviors. Now, excuse me. Usually, in these dominant hierarchical systems, the lowest ranking males usually do not challenge the alpha wolf, the dominant. Similarly, in territorial defense, the weaker individuals or the very young individuals do not challenge, do not fight with the strongest individuals. There must be a reason for it. Now, let me explain that particular reason to you. Okay, before you focus on this one, just look at these two photographs. Now, this person, do you know who he is? This boxer is a world famous boxer. He is retired from boxing now. Once he ate a piece of the outer ear of
Mike Tyson.
Huh?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, yes, Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson is a heavyweight boxer. Heavyweight. Now, compared to Mike Tyson, there is a small boxer. The boxers like grades then grade දෙක තමයි heavyweight. මේක මම හිතන්නේ featherweight or bantamweight කියලා එක weights හදලා. Now, you know, look at these two sizes. A big boxer, small boxer. Now, apparently, this small boxer is wounded, isn't it? Even a single punch of this big, powerful fellow is enough to kill this one. Now, in professional boxing, you know, pitching a featherweight boxer against a heavyweight boxer is legally prohibited. It's legally prohibited. If it is allowed, what definitely would happen is the death of this person, because the heavyweight boxer's blows are extremely powerful. A single blow could crush the skull, and instantly the man could die. So such fights are not allowed. If this person is to pitch, then another person should be another heavyweight boxer, heavyweight boxing, and this will this boxer will fight against another boxer in his own weight class, right? Okay, this is the kind of story that is happening in the animal combat. You know, generally the weak, in animal combat, the strength, weight, and the experience are important in deciding the outcome, winning or losing. Now, for example, the stronger, the more the animal who is more fatter and the most experienced animals usually will win. Right? Now, consider two animals. a strong, large, and experienced 4 to 5 year old male. On the other hand, we have another male who is 1 year old, small, less experienced. So what if these two fight? What usually happens is the smaller animal, the less experienced animal will definitely lose. Or sometimes it may end up with some fatal injuries, severe injuries. Now, these injuries may lead to its death as well. Therefore, these smaller individuals, what they do is that it is inside their genes. They do not engage in fighting with the bigger individual. What happens is that until they grow to a certain level, they keep on growing. After they become stronger, after they gather enough strength, then they can enter into territorial combat or hierarchical combat, right? You see, everything has a reason. Everything has a reason in behavior. Everything has a reason. And that reason is actually the survival. We show different types of behaviors because all those good behaviors ensure our survival and the propagation of our genes to the next generation. Okay, now let me finalize this the lecture with some important points in advantages of territoriality and dominant hierarchy. You see, now you will be able to understand these points clearly. Now, the first advantage is that the territoriality and dominant hierarchy permit an animal to mate without interruption or to raise its young. You have to challenge us now. The Darwinian fitness of the strongest males in the herd increased through polygamy. Like hierarchy, dominant hierarchy, alpha udamine mating chances very. Vice chancellor to mating chances very. Okay. The Darwinian fitness of the strongest females in the herd also increased. Their Darwinian fitness also increased because she will be inseminated by the strongest male in the herd or in the dominant hierarchy. Strong increased chances of superior genes in the population to be selected and propagated to the next generation. Again and again. හොඳම ඥාන තමයි මේ විදිහට මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය දෙක මගින් තේරි ඉස්සරහට propagate වෙලා යන්නේ. Increased chances for eliminating weaker genes from the population. හරි අර අබලදුබල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඥාන ව්‍යාප්ත වෙන්නේ නැහැ ප්‍රජනනයේ chance එකක් හම්බෙන්නේ නැති නිසා. And this way the population size or the population density is also limited. Okay. So those are the major advantages in territoriality and dominant hierarchy.